Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a guide for Fuji International Speedway with the Group 1 cars. We'll start the time trial guide with the Audi R18. This is the 2016 one for its good one lap pace. And as we get started, hover on the brakes as you approach the final turn to charge up the batteries because you're going to need all that battery charge as we do our lap guide. But anyways, brake balance is all the way to the back of the car, so +5. And once again, we're on the Audi R18, the 2016 Audi R18, and we're under racing soft tires. Bring yourself towards the left and you're braking just as you pass the 150 meter board. You're going to be really aggressive on the brakes, braking as much as you can. Ease off of the brakes as you turn in. Get the car pointing towards the next section of the track and then fully accelerate. Then bring yourself towards the right, brake just after you pass the 100 meter board. Quick burst of braking, take advantage of the R18's downforce, get under throttle as soon as you can, then lift off of throttle just as you approach this smaller shadow that goes across the track, so you're lifting off of throttle pretty late into this long right turn. Bring yourself towards the right and brake before you pass the little orange marker on the right. Brake hard for a short moment, slowly ease off of the brakes as you turn in, and try to keep the car in a generally straight direction so you can deploy the hybrid boost, which is why you kind of see me doing these weird steering inputs. But then brake just as you're about to go under the Dunlop sign, brake hard for a while, slowly ease off of the brakes as you turn in. Be careful on the throttle because the hybrid does get deployed over here. Yeah, just be very careful on the throttle. Use a little bit of braking just as the grass on the left ends. Just be nice and careful through here. Carefully get on the throttle. When the curb on the left ends, that's when you want to slowly ease on the brakes. Try to nail down this apex. Go for a slightly late apex. Carefully get on the throttle. And just after you pass the path that is on the right, that's when you want to start to ease on the brakes, kind of approach this turn as you approach the last turn. Just go for a late apex, get the car pointing where you want to go, and fully accelerate. But that is pretty much it for this lap guide. For the race, we're going to switch on over to the Toyota TS050. And here we are at the start of the race. So I'm in the Toyota TS050. Second place is in the 2016 R18. And third place is interestingly in the Peugeot 908. But anyways, we're doing 13 laps here at Fuji International Speedway with the Group 1 cars. Fuel's at ×2, so fuel is not an issue at all, but the tire wear is at ×7, so tire wear is a bit harsh. Racing soft and medium tires are available and required, so make sure you use both tire compounds so you don't get a 1-minute penalty after the race ends. If you're starting towards the front, start under racing soft tires, but if you're getting closer towards starting in the middle or in the back, start under racing medium tires, and especially with this kind of race because you have these high downforce cars, so dirty air is going to be a thing. It's going to make your car a lot more understeery as you go through the twistier parts of the track, which will make overtaking a bit harder, and it'll definitely scrub away your front tires. So this race is pretty straightforward. You're going to be pitting around halfway into the race to switch over to the tires that you haven't used yet. And also be careful during your first couple of laps because you do have cold tires, so you're not going to have all that grip yet, and the weight from the fuel also affects your car a bit. But anyways, so the soft tires, they last around 6 to 8 laps. This will partially depend on the car that you're using, how you're driving, and if you're stuck under someone's dirty air. So as I mentioned earlier, especially if you go through sector 3, which is where we're at right now, dirty air is going to be a royal pain in the behind because it makes your car a lot more understeery and it scrubs away your front tires. So you do want to be careful whenever you're within 3/4 of a second behind someone. But on the main straight, the dirty air, or slipstream in this case, actually helps you out because it makes you go a little bit faster. You can see second place quickly catching up to me because he is under my slipstream. And if you're close enough to the car in front of you, that can set you up for an overtake. And pretty much the main straight and then the shorter back straight that leads to sector 3 are pretty much going to be the best places to go for a move, especially with dirty air being a pretty nasty thing here at Fuji. But we're at the end of lap 8. We're going to switch on over to the racing medium tire, so let's go ahead and go on over to the pit stop. So the pit loss for switching tires, no need to refuel, is going to be 17 seconds. So that's something that you want to be aware of. A 2-stop is definitely not going to work because pit loss is just too long to make a 2-stop work. So keep it simple. This is a 1-stop race. Pit around halfway into the race. Undercuts can work, especially if you're starting towards the back and if you're starting on the racing medium tires, but be aware that if you do an undercut, your longer second stint means that you'll be dealing with more tire wear, so that's something that you want to be aware of. But let's skip on over towards the end of the race. Hybrid batteries or hybrid management has not been an issue at all in the Toyota TS050. I will mention a bit more about that in a moment, but this is pretty much a 19-minute race, so pretty straightforward race with a straightforward strategy, but do be careful about the dirty air. Now, something I do want to talk about is the issue with the hybrid battery management, and also why there's one car that is dominant in the time trial while another car is dominant in the race. So we'll start with the car that we used in the time trial. So this is the 2016 Audi R18, and the thing is that with this car, what makes it so good in time trial is that it has an extremely aggressive hybrid deployment. So you get some insane acceleration with this car, and its top speed is not too bad, especially if you compare it to the other LMP1 hybrid cars like the Toyota TS050 and the Porsche 919 hybrid. But there is a bit of a problem with this car, and especially this combination. Its hybrid deployment is too aggressive to the point where you're using up much more battery power than you're able to recharge it. So before you know it, you're about to go down the main straight, but you only have like 5% battery power. You use that 5% battery power and your acceleration is just terrible, and that's saying it nicely. So your car now becomes a bit of a sitting duck, your pace starts to fall off, and other cars that are managing their hybrid much better than yours will quickly catch up to you and take advantage of you. And it becomes a bit of a snowball effect because the moment that you run out of the battery charge the first time, when you're trying to go through some of the other sections where hybrid deployment could be very useful, you don't have enough of it, so now your acceleration is terrible again, and your pace gets worse because you don't have any of the hybrid to deploy. So that's the big problem with the hybrid for the Audi R18, why especially for this combination it's best used as a 1-lap pace car, so basically only for time trial. You actually even saw me run out of the hybrid charge as I finished up my lap, and yeah, if it's a problem in time trial, it's going to be a worse problem in the race. So what about the Porsche 919 hybrid? And unfortunately, the Porsche 919 hybrid also suffers the same problem as the 2016 Audi R18. So we're about to go down the main straight, and we're going to deploy the hybrid batteries, and that's it. Yep, it's pretty bad when it comes to hybrid management as well, and the 919's acceleration when not using the hybrid batteries is actually even worse than the Audi R18 and the Toyota TS050. And it also has a poor top speed, which makes it even worse for the Porsche 919 hybrid. Whereas in the Toyota TS050, all you need to do is move the brake balance towards the back of the car, and that's it. While the hybrid deployment in the Toyota TS050 is not the best, it's not as good as the Porsche 919 hybrid or the Audi R18. It doesn't use up as much battery power, and it can actually charge a bit more than what it uses, which means you don't have to worry about running out of the batteries in the Toyota TS050, which is what makes this car so good for this combination, because battery management, you don't even have to think about it. Brake balance +2, +3, and that's it. But before I go, I want to mention that the penalty serving zone is on the main straight. Please do not get a penalty, because you will have to serve it on the main straight and you're going to lose so much time. But to wrap things up, this is a one-stop race where you use both the racing soft and medium tires, pit halfway into the race. For the time trial, the 2016 Audi R18 is the best one-lap pace car, so use that car for the time trial due to its aggressive hybrid deployment. But in the race, switch over to the Toyota TS050, as you don't have to worry about battery management, and this car will always have the hybrid batteries available for you to use. But that's going to be it for this final lap guide of 2021. Oh gosh, 2022 is around the corner. But anyways, thank you guys for the amazing support throughout this year. Thank you to Playseat for supporting the channel as well. They sent over the Playseat Challenge, which is the rig that I use, and I freaking love it. Thank you to the viewer that sent me the Fanatec CSL Elite setup. I also freaking love it as well. But that is all for me. So have a good race, have a good week, have a good rest of 2021, and I wish you a happy 2022. So this is Mr. MCA wishing you a good race and a happy 2022, and I'll see you in the next video.